Well, the other site's not working. The other web-based console, for some reason, is not loading. So I'm finishing it up on the studio speaker right now as we wrap up Way Out There on GJRB Online. I'm Gary J. Rustin. Welcome back to Way Out There as we close out today's edition of the program here on GJRB Online. So I wanted to save this time now for this segment. And it is a story about a man who died during surgery and met Christ and asked him what the meaning of life is.
I was straight-lined. I mean, totally straight-lined, out of my body, dead for an hour and a half.
Richard, in August 16, 2005, he met God during an out-of-body experience, an encounter which changed his life forever.
My name is Richard Cole, and I am 72 years old. I have never been real, what I would call religious. I've always believed that there was a God, and I believed that there was Jesus, but I've had doubts. I've been a doubter before, but I'm no longer that. And this happened to me in 2005, so that was 6 years ago. And so how it came about was that I was on my way to Monterey. I go up there every year for the historic car races. While I stopped at the stoplight, I had a pain that started in my jaw, right in the mandibular area, went down my jawbone, down my carotid artery, and into my chest. I said, "Whoa, this is strange." My friend and his wife said, "What's wrong with you? You don't look very good. What's your symptoms?" I said, "Well, my hands feel a little sweaty and I feel a little clammy." I said, "I don't know what's going on." He says, "I'm going to take you to the hospital." I said, "Oh, I'll be okay. I'll go home and take an aspirin. This will be done with." He says, "No, we're going right now." So we went in and they put me on a gurney because there was no room in the emergency room. My blood pressure was extremely high. And they gave me a couple of shots right away to try and get my blood pressure down. And then I went right into the x-ray room, and they gave me some x-rays, and came back in a little while, and Steve, the doctor, a friend of mine, says, "You have a serious problem." And I said, "Oh, really?" He says, "Yes." He says, "You have an aneurysm, but what's worse, it's split, and I think you're bleeding internally." 5 o'clock the next morning, I was in the the ready room rather, at Cottage Hospital. Anesthesiologist came in and says, "Well, I'm going to, give you a shot right now, and then you're going to go off to sleep." I said, "Okay." I said, "Is the doctor here yet?" "Yeah, he's here." So I asked to see. I said, "Okay, what are you guys going to do to me?" And he says, "What we have to do is cool you down to a real low temperature, and when we do that, it'll be just like chopping a hole in Lake Michigan in the ice in the middle of the winter. Everything's going to stop. Your brain's going to stop, and your heart will stop." I said, "Well, I've never heard of that before, and I read a lot." And he says, "We usually don't tell our patients what we're going to do to them, or else they'd run down the hall dragging the IV behind them." They told me when I went in that I'd have about a 50-50 chance of making it. I found out later with that kind of operation where they take your heart out, you have a 10% chance of survivability. So the anesthesiologist put the IV in. I went off to sleep right away. They start rolling me down the hall to the operating room. And then I realized that I was still conscious and I wasn't under yet. It was like I was for a little bit, but then I was awake again. And I saw them roll me into the operating room. And so I wanted to tell the doctors that, "Hey, you got to give me some more of whatever it was you gave me because I'm not out yet." But I couldn't speak. I didn't have any pain or anything like that. I just could not open my mouth and get the words out, even though I tried very hard to tell them that I was still conscious. So I'm laying on the table, and there are 3 doctors standing over me and 2 nurses, and they all have their gowns on, the mask on and everything. They're ready to go. And I heard the doctor ask the nurse for the scalpel, and she got it, and she started to open me up from right here down to here. He did. Opened me up like that, and then they got an electric saw out and started cutting my breastbone open. And then I saw them go down and start to take my heart out, and then everything went black. But I was still conscious, but I couldn't see anything. And it was like a heavy black fog, and I'm just standing there looking around. I couldn't figure out what to do next or what was going to happen next. Right then, 2 beams of light came over my right shoulder, so I started to turn around and look over my shoulder to see where it was coming from. And then I heard a voice, and the voice was very authoritative, not loud, but he says, "Don't turn around." And I'm thinking, well, why not? And he says, "Don't turn around, because if you see my face, you'll have to stay here." And he says, "Now, that'll be okay if you stay here, but I have a job for you, and if you disobey me, I won't be happy." And he says, "You don't want to see me unhappy." So I said, "Yeah, well, okay, I better pay attention and do what he says." And then I said, "I know who you are." He said, "Oh, you do?" And I said, "Yeah." And all during this conversation, I had a feeling of where he was, that he was walking back and forth behind me, that he was sitting in a white throne, just a plain chair, didn't have jewels or anything on it, but just a plain white chair. And I could just feel that, and I don't know why. That's what I was feeling. The next thing that happened is he says, "Do you have any more questions before you leave?" I said, I got to think about this. And I thought, I was thinking really hard, what am I going to ask God? Couldn't think of anything. I wanted to be really smart enough to ask him something very pertinent. And so I said, well, I'm going to have to revert to an old cliche. What's the meaning of life? And he starts laughing again. I said, what's so funny now? And he says, well, I don't know why, but a lot of people ask me that question, and it's really real simple. But I tell you what, when you come back, we'll sit down. You can ask me all the questions that you ever will have. I'll answer for you. So I said, okay. He says, okay, it's time for you to go back. And I turned around. I'm sorry, but he put his arms around me. He put his arms around me. And it was a feeling that I can't explain. It was unconditional love, but it was words. I can't tell you the words. And I'm sorry, but I always act like this because I can feel it again. So, it changed my life. And the next thing I heard was the nurse was saying, I think he's ready to come out of it. His temperature's at 90 degrees. 9 days later, I was discharged from the hospital. First thing I wanted to do was go out and tell everybody I knew what happened to me. But I'll have to tell you that my life has changed completely. I'm no longer afraid of death. All the problems that I thought were problems are all gone. I don't have any problems. I don't have anything that gets me down. A week later, a guy came in that I knew, and he said, I heard about your experience. I said, yeah, it happened. He said, I heard that you were, you had a near-death experience and that you were out for about an hour, and I said, yeah, that's true. And he said, well, the same thing happened to me. I said, and then I asked him what the meaning of life was. He says, oh, that's easy. It's all about love. That was the perfect answer. So I got that message right away. Now, I studied the Bible, and it's taken me a long time. I've been doing it for 6 years. I'm up to Matthew. I've translated every word from the original manuscripts into English. I was baptized recently. People ask me questions about that. Well, why are you getting baptized now? And I said, because it's the right time. I don't know what else to tell them. I don't believe that you have to be baptized to go to heaven, but I know one thing. I want to follow what Jesus did. He set an example. I want to, so I did.
Fabulous, isn't it? So, therefore, if anyone in Christ is new creation, old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. From 2 Corinthians 5:17. And that's absolutely fabulous. This guy, he died on the table for a short time, came back, and, when you listen to that, and this is the reason why I do this on this program, this afterlife, because two reasons, actually. First of all, because I am fascinated with that subject of near-death experiences. I think that is a fascinating subject. I think that I just like to do more of these features on this program. That's why I started this segment, because I'm one of the many who have been curious for years. And I remember, like I said, a couple of MASH episodes dealing with life after death, and it was always a fascinating topic to me. And then when Coast to Coast with George Norrie would do a topic on this program at night, I would love to listen to it, because it was always an interesting program. Near-death experiences is a fabulous subject, and we're going to do more of those. I've got another one coming up too, in which a young autistic boy died and went to heaven. So we're going to do that one on the next edition of Way Out There here on GJRB Online, here on Spreaker. Gary J. Russell with you, and we're doing Way Out There on Spreaker across America. But now it's time for, What's on Spreaker? See what's coming up on our Spreaker public site. Yeah, we're going to do that right now. We're going into the home page of Spreaker, pull up the schedule, and let you know what's happening tonight on this fabulous platform called Spreaker. Yeah. Before I do, want to let you know some of the fabulous Spreaker podcasters you can listen to that I think are absolutely fabulous. A few more really good ones on here that just been added, and I'm going to mention those here for you. Some new members, actually. Yeah. Some new followers have joined on. I want to say hi. I'm going to go to my Facebook. I'm going to go to my Spreaker public site once, and then we'll come back to that before we get into the What's on Spreaker. Want to welcome some new followers. Caprice Marie, Jen Ruggiero. Also want to welcome Bubba and Wicked Pissa Show. They're fabulous. Bubba is, I've been listening to them. They do a pretty good show. They got a couple of really good ones. Also welcome Dale Keller, Erica K. Faltz, and Inspiration After Dark, one of our newest members and newest followers. Welcome aboard GJRB Online. And they got a great show. We have the Black Dog Radio Network. He's absolutely fabulous. These guys I'm waiting for him to get back on. Eric Cooper, AKCOG, all the great people are on here. But I'm talking about the ones that have shows. Wolfman Mike, Absolutely fabulous. Ben Osan, he doesn't do a show, but he's one of our great followers. Want to welcome that. Keith Brooks, emerging artist. We're going to play a lot of his songs coming up on a coming show. Next week, I'm planning on doing a Gary J in the afternoon with some emerging artists. Goof On Radio. We also have the blues. OBFSU, our big fat soft underbelly, hoping he gets back on. Caramel Conservative, absolutely fabulous. You know, you got to listen to this guy. He talks politics, but he really lays it on the line. He tells it like it is. You got to listen to this guy. The Caramel Conservative, Tuesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, right here on Spreaker. He's got a lot of good stuff and talks a lot about what's going on in the news and gives you his point of view on things. You can also hear that on our 9-foot FM signal, Spreaker FM 88.9 on the FM radio dial here in Clinton, Iowa. So you want to check that out. Meanwhile, though, it's time to get into the schedule. So let's do that right now and see what's going on. One of the other ones I want to suggest you listen to is the Debbie Scott Radio Network. She's coming up next here on Spreaker and Spreaker FM 88.9. She's fabulous. Debbie and John's all music show. They got some good tunes. They play some really good stuff. Classic, oldies, country. They don't play no rap. Nope. They don't play rap. They'll never play. Thank you. They're good. Debbie and John from down in Florida. Debbie and John Scott and the All Music Network tonight at 6 o'clock Central Time, right after we get off the air. Great music, great stuff. Tune in to the Debbie Scott Radio Network. 9 o'clock p.m. tonight's the Haunted Reality, New West Radio Productions. 11 o'clock tonight, it's Spaced Out Radio. And I believe tonight it is the Paranormal Roundtable with David Scott tonight. Tune in to that. David Scott Radio Network, 11 o'clock Central Time, midnight Eastern, 9 Pacific, 9:06 p.m., 11:06 p.m., right here on Spreaker FM 88.9. 1 o'clock a.m. in the morning, the Ace Show, followed at the same time by the Gyp Zone and the Gyp Zone Mixed Up. 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, tune into the Mike Myers program, Radio Hope Network. This guy always has good things to say and has inspiration for the Lord. He's absolutely fabulous. A man who make you feel good about things when things are not so great. Listen to Mike Myers in the Radio Hope Network. Always fabulous. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning Central Time. TJWS Radio Network at 10:20. Dynamic Debbie interview tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Those are some of the programs coming up. And then tomorrow, here on Spreaker, we'll be live at, approximately, I'm going to say 1 o'clock. Yeah, 1 to 3 and then 3 to 5. 1 o'clock, 1 to 5 tomorrow. 2 shows back to back will be Classic Country, followed at 3 o'clock by Bluegrass Jubilee. Just going to kind of pull out some songs, take some requests. If you have a favorite classic country tune, if you like bluegrass, tune in tomorrow afternoon starting at 1 o'clock Central right here on GJRB Online. 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific tomorrow right here on GJRB Online. I'll give you our program schedule, let you know what's coming up. But right now we want to kind of go into the Coast to Coast site because we get time to see what's on Coast to Coast this week. Brought to you by Premier Radio Networks, the fabulous people who bring you Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, 5 nights a week on many fine radio stations, including WJAS Pittsburgh and WTAM Cleveland, Ohio, AM 1100, WMT Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and other great places. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. And it's always fabulous. Always good to check him out. Let's see. Guest rundown, show topics, whatever you want to do it. We're going to do that right now. So we're going to go to the upcoming shows and bring you who's going to be on Coast to Coast this week. And then we'll maybe find time to get the weather in there before we close out here. So I'm going to do that right now. Let's start off with what's happening tonight on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Demonic Clearings. Is that what it is tonight? Yep. Demonic Clearings and Open Line. Spiritual warrior Bill Bean will be the guest. He'll discuss his current work on demonic clearings, as well as how UFOs, Bigfoot, and Mandela effect. The Mandela effect. I love to listen to this one. Mandela effect to the work he is doing, followed by Open Lines. Tomorrow night, dowsing and remote viewing will be the topic, along with green fireballs tomorrow night. Connie Willis will be the guest host with Paul H. Smith, who served for 7 years in the government's Stargate remote viewing, a psychic espionage program, and is also an expert on ancient secrets and technical dowsing. Is that pronouncing D-O-W-S-I-N-G, dowsing? I'll find out what that is. He joins Connie Willis, has a YouTube channel, reveals how he can penetrate the mysteries of dowsing and discovering limitless opportunities for personal growth. Followed by UFO researcher Bruce McCabe, who will discuss the phenomenon known as green fireballs, which is observed around the White Sands Proving Ground in New Mexico. On Art Bell, 6 to 10, Somewhere in Time. Love to listen to that because Art Bell is still fabulous. You hear a rerun, Somewhere in Time. At 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific Time, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Pacific, 9 Eastern. Art Bell's going to have on a show from, we're going to run an Art Bell show from February 26, 1998, when callers phoned in live reports of weird things in the skies in Colorado. Should be a good show. Check that out. All right, upcoming, let's see what else we got. Power of Intention in Stealth Technology will be the topic on Sunday night. Okay, that's George Knapp is taking the board for that. I like George Knapp. He's fabulous. He's always interesting. I listen to George Knapp stuff. He always has a good guest on. He is fabulous. George Knapp. His first half of the guest, according to scientist and author Dean Radin, magic of natural aspects of reality, and each can tap into that power. He joins George Knapp to discuss how, after spending the first 40 years conducting controlled experiments, he's demonstrated the thoughts are things that he can sense others, emotions and intentions from a distance, and intuition, and more powerful than thought. Second half of the show, the F-117 Nighthawk stealth attack jet is still a flying machine, yet none ever created. The sinister-looking aircraft that is born in the top secrecy still has many stories to tell, even in decades after its official retirement. Aviation expert Taylor Rogoway will discuss the F-117 program, along with the advanced weapons and systems and the cutting-edge convert technology surrounding it. Okay, going on now to Monday night. George Norrie gets back in on the air with the Science, Myths, and Spiritual Releasement, and his guest will be Michael Newton Keas, K-E-A-S, Keas, I guess that's pronounce it. He's a senior fellow at Discovery Institute, a former Fulbright scholar. Will discuss popular myths, which have become part of the science curriculum, and conventional wisdom, as well as how belief in ETs has been recorded in religious history. Okay. Second half of the show, therapist and spirit release worker Britt Farrell has been working on with clients over the years to overcome such things as trauma and addiction. Detail how he identified spirit possession as a powerful force of dominating people's lives, and will describe the various ways he helped people gain freedom from those debilitating forces. So that's what's coming up. Then we go to Tuesday night. George Norrie has a guest, Mary A. Joyce, and Peter Shinnick will be a guest talking about Bigfoot and anomalies in technology and consciousness. Editor of the Sky Ships Over Cashiers website, which features a cutting-edge and unusual topic. She'll also discuss her latest work researching Bigfoot as well as anomalies in Antarctica. Second half of the show, engineer and former technology professor Peter Shinnick will now invest in energies and focus on waking up the planet and humanity. He'll detail his awakening as a modern-day mystic, using technology to bridge the gap between science and consciousness. So that's going to be on Coast to Coast on Tuesday. Taking a look at Wednesday night. Interesting guest, Creatures Among Us, and to be announced guest, Department of Applied Ecology in North Carolina State University will discuss how even a cleanest homes are host to nearly 200,000 species of living with us, from the Egyptian meal moths in our cupboards to camel crickets in our basement, whatever they are. So that'll be a good one. Take a look at that one. Going down the line, let's take a look at Thursday night. Oh, here we go. Linda Moulton Howe will be on. Earth Files, she's on again Thursday night. Gotta listen to that show. She's going to have her monthly report on strange anomalies and events taking place all over the world. So I'm going to have to see if I can set the VCR to record this. In the first hour, former Minister in National Defense in Canada, the Honorable Paul Hellyer, will update his work on researching for the New World Order and U.S. shadow government. Okay, that'd be a good one. To update on working on the New World Order and U.S. shadow government and money mafia, in which he believes that they are at apex of the cabal running much of the world. And then finally we finish up Friday with movies and horror, and that will be followed by open lines. Mr. Lobo, an American artist and horror host, will discuss the latest development in the world of movies and cinema. So that's going to be this week on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Brought to you by Premier Radio Networks to bring you this fine program, Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. 7 nights a week. Guest host on the weekends. And it's a fabulous program, and still on. And it was originally hosted by Art Bell. George Norrie took it over, made it a fabulous show, kept it going, and still one of the best. Coast to Coast AM, weeknights on many fine radio stations, including WFLA Tampa, Florida. And our newest affiliate here on GJRB Online, carrying Coast to Coast, comes out of Estero, Florida. And that is Fox News Radio 92.5. So that's what we got coming up on Coast to Coast. And they'll be on this week on our 9-foot signal a couple of nights a week here on 107.9. So tune in for that. I think we're going to try to see if we can get Linda Moulton Howe on for that broadcast this coming week, because it's always good when she's on. So that's what's coming up. But and then tonight, of course, over on Spaced Out Radio, it'll be the Paranormal Round Table with Dave Scott. So this is some of the great programs you can hear tonight that are related to this show, way out there here on GJRB Online. Got a little past the weather on the fives, so I'm going to do one more weather on the fives for Clinton. So let's take a look at our Clinton forecast. And like I said before, we're watching a storm just out east, and out west rather. And it's going to impact our weather later in the week. But let's take a look at what we got here. It's 35 degrees currently right now in Clinton. Feels like 27. And radar clear. Nothing on the radar at this point. We have the winds out of the east-northeast at 11 miles per hour. Taking a look at our barometric pressure right now, 30.34 inches of mercury. It's 8 miles visibility right now, 27 degrees on the dew point. Relative humidity, 71%. Once again, currently 35 degrees in Clinton. Let's take a look at that forecast. Brought to you by Weather Underground. It's a great place to get your weather. Weather Underground. Fabulous. It is from Mayor Farms. Here's your lower forecast. 100% chance of precipitation tonight. Rain and freezing rain as we get a storm system coming through. Around 30 degrees expected for tonight. East winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tomorrow, oh boy, thunderstorms. Really? 100% chance of thunderstorms. The high is 38 tomorrow. East 10 to 15, east winds at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. But again, tomorrow night, here's what's going to happen. 80% chance. Early rain. Low 24 west-southwest winds at 10 to 20 miles per hour. So that's what we have for our weather forecast for the next couple of days. It looks, let's see the extended forecast. I thought it would be on here real quick, but let's see if we can pull that up. 10-day, or at least the next couple of days. Let's see what's going on with that forecast. Let's see. We are going to wait till that loads up. Meanwhile, I want to remind you of what we got coming up on GJRB next week. Let's see. Looking at next week, this is the last Friday of February already. Last Friday. Next Friday is March 1st. Now, next week, we're going to be doing, next Thursday, or on the 28th, we're going to be on our 9-foot signal here on 107.9, running the Cubs. That's right, the Cubs. Preseason baseball. And we can tune that in on our 9-foot signal only. But if you are a follower on my Facebook page, follower on my Spreaker public site, that's where you're only going to hear it in private. I'll have it broadcasting in private. But you can click onto that if you are a friend of mine or a follower on my Spreaker public site. So just to let you know about that. And you can listen to that again. So here we go. Friday, rain, ice, late. Here's Saturday, thunderstorms. Look at Sunday, windy. 28 degrees. Look at it Monday. Cloudy. 13 degrees. And as you head out toward the end of the week, your temperature's about 31 mainly. 30, 31. The highest temperature is 31. Some AM clouds, some sunshine on Tuesday. Wednesday, again, 23 and sunshine. Thursday, 24 and partly cloudy. And then it's going to snow again on Friday next week with a high of 31 degrees. Saturday, March 2nd, 20 degrees with more snow. And snow again on Sunday with a high of only 17. So that's what we got in our Clinton weather forecast. Sorry about that, folks. Wish it was a better forecast. But that's what we have, unfortunately. And, what are you going to do? It's to put up with it. Oh well. Let's see what we have here. I'm going to get our theme ready to close out the show. But while I'm doing that, I want to remind you that spontaneous broadcasting next week. In the middle of the week, we're only going to be, our only scheduled show is Friday next week, and that's going to be jazz. The wave of smooth jazz at 1 o'clock Central Time, followed by smooth afternoon with all your favorite smooth jazz. That's next Friday, right here on GJRB Online. So tune in for that on the GJRB Online Network. Next Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock Central Time. And then on Saturday, next week, it'll be the Best of Jazz. That'll be the only broadcast we'll have on the air that day, is the Best of Jazz from 3 to 5 p.m. Central Time. And that's what's coming up next week on GJRB Online. And of course, I'll be working on my video, and I'll post that. Otherwise, everything else is spontaneous. That means you never know when we're going to be on the air with a program. Watch for postings on the Spreaker public site. Got some planned programming, including another Gary Russin program, a Gary J in the afternoon, and a few other things to maybe end the month. And then we're going to see what happens from there as we continue to piece that schedule puzzle together. And we're going to be doing permanent, that's all we're going to do now, is spontaneous. That's it. All spontaneous, and I'll be doing a GJRB schedule update podcast and let you know how we're going to do things. And when it works into a schedule, then I will let you know what that schedule is. And like I said before, I probably plan on doing little mini schedules, like within about, within a week's time, we'll have a schedule of programs. But other than that, it's all going to be spontaneous. Mostly, some programs will be scheduled that are regularly scheduled that we've had on schedule. Other than that, all other programs, as I try to piece a really neat schedule together. Some of the programs that I want on every week, and some programs will just have to remain monthly. Tell you what we're going to do right now. I'm going to... let's see, we're closing up here. We got 6 minutes before the hour of, about 5 minutes before 6 o'clock. And I'm going to go into my way out there to pull my theme up for the ending of our program today. So I'm doing that right now. I always go into a filing system and forget where the heck I'm at, what I'm doing. I just do that too much. Just don't know why, but I just keep doing that too much. Let's see, where is that spaceship thing? My theme here. Here it is. Okay, here we go. There we go. So we're going to close out. Let's see, I'm going to... let me see here. What is it? Okay. Let's see, right here. Yeah, I think this is where we're going to do it. Yeah, okay, close out right there. So I'm going to do that. Yeah. So that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Way Out There. In our next edition, we're going to have some more of show on more afterlife stuff, more life after death stuff, more NDEs rather. Also coming up, a continuing series, Technocracy, and a few other surprises. You never know what we're going to have on. So I hope you'll tune in for the next edition of Way Out There. I'll see you tomorrow for some more great classics, including classic country. Going to do that tomorrow, and of course, the Bluegrass Jubilee along with that as well. So tune in for that tomorrow afternoon starting at 1 o'clock Central Time. Until then, thanks a lot for tuning in. And remember, look up to the skies and let me know what you see way out there. Have your best night ever. So long, everyone. And stay tuned now for the Debbie Scott Radio Network next on GJRB LPFM and right here on Spreaker. Have a great night, everyone.
Imagine one day tuning around on your internet radio only to find a station playing old radio programs complete with commercials and thinking, what am I tuning into? The past? You might be, or it's just GJRB Online and Radioland. A day of nothing but classic radio shows back to back with classic commercials in between. Like the days of radio. Almost like your computer is picking up signals through time. Closer than you'll ever get to time travel. Radioland.
Coast to coast and way out there, fans. Listen up. If you like UFO conspiracies, ghosts, and the paranormal, you'll love Spaced Out Radio. Spreaker's answer to Coast AM with more interesting guest experts in the paranormal and UFOs each month. If you like Way Out There, you'll love Spaced Out Radio. Own the night with Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Nightly at 11 p.m. Central, 12 o'clock midnight Eastern, and 9 p.m. Pacific. On Spreaker, on Periscope, and on D-Talk Radio Network. We all run a busy schedule, and maybe we don't have time to catch the Gary Russa program. Well, here's the solution. The best of the Gary Russa program, highlighting the most memorable parts of recent shows. Each podcast I will play clips of previous shows and talk about them. Watch for podcast uploads during the GJRB's podcast weekend on GJRB's public site on Spreaker, reflecting on the past memories of past shows. The best of the Gary Russa program on GJRB. You never know when GJRB is going to be on the air. More programming, more often, on the internet, on GJRB.
This is GJR Broadcasting.